different kind of modes of learning are so important, and I think for inspiration really, isn't it? To inspire, to see what's possible, to understand things, kind of what's kind of to open possibilities and ideas about things. I think it's essentially about being inspired, but it can be anything from very healing to very yeah, I mean, it's everything, isn't it? Really, it's everything. You know, I mean, I don't think you should ever stop learning. Really, yeah. I think I'm a very kinesthetic learner. Yeah, very visual and kinesthetic. I had a lot of learning difficulties when I was a child, so especially around hearing. So how one weds up a lot of these and makes connections between what one sees and what one hears. It can be like this sometimes, like it can go completely off, and I think those disturbances are very frightening as a child and very frightening, but I think for me they've been something that's been very important as an artist, is this kind of discrepancy or this kind of complete kind of clash or distance between those logical things and what you see and what one experiences imaginatively, and sometimes those gaps in one's ability can sometimes be very creative moments. So for me that's been having to come to terms with that a lot, and then finding ways that can become a kind of amazing creative tool, you know. And I think now there are a lot more teachers and a lot more people that are able to facilitate those, but when I was a child, no, it was a very traumatic experience. Yeah. So I work with these amazing dancers who are very articulate and very intelligent physically, and I think that actually there is something I want to say, is that I think that what's quite misunderstood around movement is how it's a kinesthetic art form. It's not necessarily visual. It's visual as well, but it's a kinesthetic art form, and that it has a huge amount of intelligence to it. And I think that often dancers are quite passed off as not being thinkers, but how we think is with our bodies, and that is a very powerful thing. So knowing that language and working with dancers in that way, so understanding the physicality of this clay, the physicality of what we were experiencing, and what I'm learning is like how we experience what we're doing psychically and psychologically, and how there needs to be some thought and care in that way. And so I learned a lot from the dancers about maybe what's needed to explore a bit more of is what's happening psychologically. Even though I know, you know what's happening, but for them personally, so what they take into the performance is more embodied in that way. Even though you might not have a language around that, it's like then how you are able to articulate that even further, I guess. I think I've learned a lot about the kind of emotional register of the work, which I feel quite uncomfortable with. It's something that's glaringly obvious in some ways, but I don't think I realised quite about the kind of emotional and expressivity. I wanted to work with a very kind of layered expressivity, almost like excessive expressivity and kind of almost camp and kind of over the top, but I think that I didn't kind of realise quite how emotional that experience was, and the intelligence of an emotional language, which are all things that I think in our Western society are disregarded or discredited in some way, and I can even feel that there is, as a woman, some kind of element of shame around really bringing that language to a kind of platform that's very big, like this platform, and how exposing that is, but you know, to sort of try and stay faithful to that kind of what one learns in that way and what one values, you know.